friends, it's Betsy from A Flourishing Place, and in today's video, I am so excited to share with you decluttering using the Sidetracked Home Executives system. Met before, my name is Betsy. I have a wonderful husband and two small kids and a third one coming very soon. And I'm really excited because a few weeks back, I did a video on the index card cleaning routine, which is known as Sidetracked Home Executives, or the SHE system. That was such a fun video to make. I read their book, which is called Sidetracked Home Executives. Now, they've written a few different books, but this is kind of the flagship book that goes through their system of how to get your home in order. At the point that I did the video before, I had read most of the book, but not quite all of it. Now, at this point, I have finished the book. I've read it all the way through, and I was almost tearing up at the end of the book. I was so touched by these two women who talk through the whole idea of how to keep your home in order. And they came from a place of being very overwhelmed. Their homes were very chaotic, very cluttered. Being at the point that I'm at in my life, being a stay-at-home mom, having little kids, feeling like I'm constantly picking up, I'm constantly trying to tame the clutter. This book just really hit me. It was very moving because these ladies are very real and they're very transparent about the realities of trying to keep your home with a busy family. But today, I don't want to focus on the index card cleaning routine. I want to focus on the portion of the book where they talk about decluttering your home, or they call it de-junking, which I love that term as well. I really loved how they approached it. It is different than I have approached it in the past, but I thought it was really a great system. And for some of you, this might really resonate, especially if you don't necessarily classify yourself as a minimalist. One of the things I love is this book originally came out in the 80s. It was written before the whole minimalism thing became a trend, long before that. I'm not knocking minimalism, there's nothing wrong with it, but oftentimes I think people feel a little bit stuck, like, well, I want a decluttered home, but I'm not a minimalist. I actually did a video on that, and I will link that in the description box below as well. But back to Sidetracked Home Executives, these ladies came up with a process of decluttering or de-junking your home in a way that was systematic, but wasn't like, well, the solution is to throw out 90% of your stuff. You're left with bare bones and the furniture. That wasn't at all the direction that they took. And so I just want to share with you kind of how they approach things. So they start from, if you were at a place where your home is just a disaster and you are feeling overwhelmed and things are chaotic. And so first off, they say 4 things that you need to institute right away before you start decluttering your home. And this is so important. It is a process. They say repeatedly in the book, your home didn't get this way overnight. It's not going to be transformed overnight. It's going to be a process. But while that process is happening, they really encourage you to keep up on these 4 things. Number 1 is to fix yourself up in the morning. The whole idea that in the morning, when you get up, you do not wander around in your pajamas until 10:30 or 11 in the morning. If you're a stay-at-home mom, obviously, if you work outside the home, that's not an option. But for stay-at-home moms, sometimes we just kind of get busy doing stuff. We're taking care of the kids, and before we know it, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30. We've got an appointment at 11, and we're still in our pajamas. We don't have any makeup on. Our hair is a rat's nest. And so number 1, they encourage you to fix yourself up first thing in the morning. Get up, get dressed, do your hair, do your makeup. Number 2 is to make your bed. Even in the midst of all the chaos of the house, to make your bed first thing in the morning. It is just kind of a sign of self-respect, and also it really just kind of symbolic in that you're kind of turning over a new leaf. Number 3 is to keep laundry going, because they say no matter what you're doing in de-junking your house and on the decluttering front, your family still has to go out wearing clothes. And that's true. And then number 4 is every night, make sure you go to bed and there are no dishes in the sink. This is a big one. And this is hard sometimes because if you are like me, at the end of the day, you are tired, you are exhausted, and you want nothing more than to go to bed. And sometimes it is just tempting to leave the dishes there. But they say, again, same as like with the laundry, your family's got to keep eating. You've got to keep things functional in the kitchen. Make sure that your kitchen sink is clean so that every morning you're coming out, even if the rest of the house is a disaster, you are coming out to a clean kitchen sink and you are starting fresh from there. Okay, so that is 4 things that they encourage you to maintain while you are de-junking the house. Next step, how do you actually start de-junking the house? Where do you begin? How do you go about it? Now, I made a video on this with my personal opinions for where to start decluttering if you're overwhelmed. I will link that video down below as well, but I wanted to share their system with you in this video. So it's a little different than how I would do it, but I also think it's pretty great and a proven system. They encourage you to start at the front door of your home and to work your way clockwise around the entire house, skipping the kitchen. You're gonna go through every closet. If you hit an entry closet first, do that. And then if you're going into the living room or going into a den or office, bedroom, whatever, you're just working your way clockwise through the entire house. You're going through entire spaces. So if you come across a dresser, you're going through the dresser drawers, you're going through cabinets, you're going through cupboards, you're going through closets, you're doing all of this. Now, in the past, I have said, and like I referenced the video that I link below, I talk about starting small, you know, and working up, or starting in a space that is very low friction, that is easy for you to start in, and they just suggest systematically going around your house and working through the entire house. So there's not a wrong way to do this, honestly, and whatever way resonates best with you, basically whatever way you're gonna do is the right way for you to do it. The thing that I like about this is it is very systematic. You are not kind of flitting from here to there, which is so easy to do when we're decluttering, right? But they really encourage you to kind of put your nose to the grindstone, so to speak, and systematically go through your house in a clockwise direction. Now, a couple notes on this. One is they encourage you, if you're doing this, and if you watched my video on their index card cleaning routine, they encourage you to skip all weekly, monthly, seasonal tasks during this time. All you're gonna keep up on are the daily tasks. Basically, you're gonna keep the rest of the house just functional, kind of like we talked about earlier with those 4 things, but you're gonna skip out on doing weekly tasks and monthly tasks. And they said in the book, and this is very true, you will feel for a little bit like you're going backwards because you're like, oh, I'm not mopping the floor. But it is for a temporary period of time. They're saying this is just until you can get your house dejunked, and then you're going to resume those things again. Second thing that piggybacks on top of that, some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, like if I started trying to declutter literally at the front door of my house and work my way clockwise around the entire house, I'd never get done because I would get stuck at some point. I would get overwhelmed at some point. I would get discouraged. I would never reach the end. I would never get back around to the front door. This is a very real thing, right? Because how many of us have started decluttering projects? I am pointing to myself here, and you're pulling out everything and everything's in shambles, and then things happen, life happens, you get interrupted, you get discouraged and you get overwhelmed, and you just end up shoving everything back in the closet and being like, oh, I will deal with this another time, you know? And so it might be really kind of a little bit scary, but I wanna mention a video that I posted last week where I talked about the key to decluttering when you get stuck. And I'm gonna link that video down below as well. And this talks in detail about what to do if you hit a point in your decluttering when you get stuck and how to keep going. And so if you were feeling a little bit of apprehension that, oh, I don't wanna set everything aside and declutter my whole house because I would never reach the end, go back and watch that video and see if that doesn't help a little bit in terms of getting over that hurdle of feeling like you'd never be able to get through the whole house. Another thing they suggest doing, and I think this is great, if you are embarking on a quest to declutter, dejunk your entire home, get an accountability partner. Get somebody that is going to want to do it with you, and maybe not necessarily dejunk your house with you, but is working on dejunking their own house with you. The sisters share in their book that the reason for their success, the reason that they did so well, both of them, in overcoming the chaos and the clutter was because they had each other. They would meet regularly, they would talk regularly, what's working, what's not working, where am I having trouble, oh, I don't think I can do this, you know, and really spurring each other on to come out on the other side to clean and organized homes. And so I would really, really encourage you that if you are going to embark on a journey to declutter your home and really get after it, that you would not do it alone. It's so important to have someone who's gonna walk the journey with you. So that's just an important side note as well. They mention what you need for the decluttering process, and if you are no stranger to decluttering, then this is all very familiar to you. Obviously, having with you put away, throw away, giveaway, and storage. Those are kind of their 4 categories. So if you want to have a black trash bag with you for throwing stuff away, and then boxes or baskets or bins for the other categories. Now I will touch on storage because this was the area of the book where I thought, oh yeah, this definitely isn't minimalism. But for a lot of people, this is life. We're not hoarding things, but we're also not minimalists. We're kind of somewhere in the middle. And so in their book, they talk about the whole idea of storage, and they give ideas for different categories. They give you the suggestion of getting like fruit boxes, like produce boxes from the grocery store to use as storage containers. That is a very budget-friendly way to go if you don't want to buy a bunch of totes and bins. That definitely makes sense. or you can just kind of gather what you have around the house and use what you have. But the whole idea behind storage is they give you lots of ideas for different categories and then tell you kind of how to categorize things in a way that they are easy to label and then easy to find. I'm just going to read straight from their book some of their category ideas. So they're talking about, for storage categories, things like clothes, party supplies, wrapping paper, hand-me-downs, snow clothes, Christmas decorations, Easter baskets and decorations, Halloween costumes and decorations, these types of things that you would keep in storage. And so they suggest with storage that you are categorizing boxes. So say you're doing hand-me-downs. You put hand-me-downs in a box. You're going to label that box with an H, like H for hand-me-downs. And then if you have multiple boxes of hand-me-downs, you're going to have H-1, H-2, H-3, that sort of thing. And then what you're going to do is you're going to have an index card where you clearly write out the contents of that box. And you're going to keep that index card in your card file. If you have seen the index card cleaning routine video that I did, these ladies live by a jumbo 3x5 card file box. And so in that box, they both decided to have a divided section labeled storage. And so in that storage section are all of the cards for all of the storage boxes that they have. You can pull out a card, say H1. You know exactly what's in there. And ideally, you would put the location on there as well. They acknowledge that not everybody has a huge garage or a huge attic. If you need to put things in different closets or kind of tuck things away in different areas, you would also remember where these boxes are located. That is the key with their storage system, is labeling things using the first letter of whatever the category is. And then you have multiple boxes doing a dash and whatever number box it is. I will say, for some of you in hearing that, it might be like, oh my gosh, I could not do that. Like for me, the whole idea of writing out an index card with all of the contents of the box is like, I'm not a detail-oriented person, but it's very doable for me to put storage things in a box and to label them like with that C1 or H1 or however, you're going to code it. And then to put on an index card, Halloween costumes or hand-me-downs. As long as I'm not having to sit there and list out every single thing that's in the box, I think I could do it and that would be sustainable for me. Now, there are others of you out there, I think that the detailed nature of that would really appeal to you. And it would be a sense of relief to know exactly what is in each box. My mother is that way. When she labels storage boxes that she is going to put away, there is a label on the side. Now she puts it on the side of the box. She doesn't do index cards, but she puts it on the side of the box. You know exactly what is in that box. And we have teased her about it for many years. But the truth is that my mom, because she is so detail oriented, many times has been able to lay hands on things that the rest of us have been like, where did that ever go? And she's like, oh, I know. And she pulls out the box and clearly on the side is labeled exactly what we're looking for. So if you are wired more that way, that's awesome and that's great. And this storage system will work great for you. If you lean more towards the simple side or like the minimalistic side and you just want to slap a label on there and call it good, that's great. There's no problem with that. You might spend a little bit more time looking for things if things aren't clearly labeled in detail, like I do every Christmas and, basically anytime I need to get into storage boxes. But for me, that's what's sustainable to keep my storage system going. Whatever works for you, whatever you're going to do is the system that you should follow. So that is kind of the overview of the Sidetracked Home Executives, how to de-junk or declutter your home if you are starting from scratch. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I thoroughly enjoyed reading about these systems. And there are some things that I am going to implement from Sidetracked Home Executives, and there will be more videos to come on that. But I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.